everybody, hello. Welcome back to the hashtag April, forget that. Hashtag ABCAprill 2025 kind of collaboration. And every day we choose, well, we don't choose, we have it prescribed to us. The 1st of April was A, 2nd B, 3rd C. Today is the 4th of April. Just checking there in case I was wrong. And it's D. Then we've got E on Saturday. Sunday's a day off. And then we start again on Monday with F. So feel free to join in. These are suggestions. If you can think of something else that you want to do with D, by all means, go ahead, do it. But if you're doing D, make sure you post it today, the 4th of April. Don't get backlogged or don't go ahead of yourself. More importantly, stick to one a day. And like I say, get Sunday off. So today is the 4th, it's D. And as you can see, the suggested prompts are distress. That's a whole world in itself. Digitals. Decoupage, die cuts and dangles. There is so much on there. I could do a month literally on D, to be honest with you. But I've decided to concentrate on decoupage because it's something that I think some people shy away from. We touched on it yesterday when we did the postcards and we put the little birdie on one of them. But today I want to take a kind of deeper dive into it really. So I thought we'd make some of these, and these are library pockets and they look nice in a journal. You stick them down, then you put your tag in there and everything's well with the world. It looks pretty. And because we are doing botanical, you can do this in any paper that you want, but we are using botanical, so I chose Tim Holtz collage paper in botanical, which was just black and white, and I'm going to show you how I colour it and how I stick it down. So I've got some cream card and I have got my tag block, and these ones are called Lovely Tag. Yeah, and I'm going to take the white, I think, make it easier. And I want, see if I put this in here, it sticks out the top. I don't mind that, it's okay. But I'd quite like to make a library card that comes up beyond that, so the tag sits snugly into the library card. So I'd like the back to come to a pencil, come to about there, and I need the whole thing to be, well, I'm going to make it quite wide. If I make it about 4 inches, that's to there. I've got loads of room. So let's trim that off at 4 inches. Actually, if I do just a little bit less, I should get 2 out of here. That's 7 3/4. So what's half of that? 3 1/2, 3 3/4. Let's do that then. Then we'll get 2 out of there. 3 3/4. And I want to cut that off where we made the mark for the height. There we are. So that's going to be our library pocket. This is the pockety bit, this is the back bit. Okay, so let's just work on one at a time. Maybe one is all we'll work on today, don't know. I have noticed that my videos are much longer than, say, Margaret's, so I think I'll do quite, for me, a relatively quick one. You do understand it. That's just, I don't do quick videos no matter how I try. Now for library cards, it's kind of the universal thing to trim round the corners of the pocket and round the corners at the top back. I'm not a great one for rounding corners. I quite like the square corners, but this is just a kind of accepted thing. I don't know why, it just is. So that's that. Now then, we want to ink this, but if we ink it in ordinary distress ink, when we put the glue on to stick the decoupage onto, the glue will move the distress. So what you need to do is use archival or StazOn or VersaFine, something like that, that's permanent. And it, you know, this says waterproof, and it comes in Vintage Photo, and it comes in ground espresso. So I'm using the Vintage Photo archival, and I'm just going to go around this. I'm going to take a brush, and whatever I put on here, you will see through the tissue paper. So just bear that in mind. You know, if you don't want to ink at all, equally fine, you don't have to. I just like a bit of inking myself. And I'm going to go right round it because sometimes you can still see the bottom when you put a pocket on, and I don't want that to be the case. So bearing in mind, as I say, that you will see this, not clearly, but you will see some of it, even when the decoupage paper is stuck on. So I hope you're all doing all right. I hope you, those of you that want to, are keeping up and following along. I'm amazed at how many people are taking part in this. It's really kind of grabbed people's attention, I think. So this is the little pocket for the front. Then you'll see more clearly then when I put it together what it kind of looks like. So yeah, remember to use archival or some sort of waterproof ink if you don't want your ink to run, because it will. There we are. Lovely. And that's going to go on there like that, and that's and that's going to be our library pocket, and our tag will fit in there nicely. Perfect. Okay, so I'll leave that to one side just to dry. I'm going to sacrifice this today. Just clean my mat up a bit. My mat is, oh dear, it's beyond dirty, but you know, it still does the job. I don't know what that was. It could have been alcohol ink, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. So, right. Tissue paper. Well, it comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes, as you know. I've got a selection here to show you. What else have I got? Whoa, that one just fell out. Where have you gone? Here you are. Well, I'll show you that one first then. This is Tim Holt's, what he calls collage paper. Collage paper, and it's in botanical. Now he stopped making these rolls, more is the pity, because they're great to have. They were really long, I think they were 6 yards long, yeah. So you get lots of paper, and you're not, you know, you can use any section you like. but he stopped making them, which is why I bought this one, because I don't want to run out, obviously. That would just be terrible. But you can see we've got all sorts of flowers, poppies, leaves, berries, a beautiful peony, more leaves. So plenty going on there. But he has superseded the long rolls of it with this, which is still collage paper. This is called Serendipity, and it's very botanical. You could have got away with calling that botanical. So let's see what you get in here. Now that one, you don't have to be a genius to work out, is the same as the one we've just looked at. It's got the text in the background, the leaves, the peony, whatever. So yeah, that's that one. This one is very pretty, isn't it? So they're all lovely. I think he's got a stamp like that, hasn't he? Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. They're all gorgeous, and they're all botanical. Well, this one isn't. This is people, photographs. And he did have a collage roll of that. Here we've got bugs in a cage. Big bugs, big flowers. Text. That's very pretty. More photographs. I think we might be... Are we going into duplicates now? Yeah, I think so. I think we've looked through those. So I'll lay that one out, put these back in. They're quite difficult to deal with these. The roll was so much easier. Oh, I don't like change. That's what it is, I just don't like change. So that's the Serendipity pack. There is another pack, I can't remember what it's called, is it industrial or something like that? I don't necessarily know that I've got it, to be honest. Another way of decoupaging, as we did yesterday, is to use napkins. They work really, really well. Just keep your eye open when you're in the supermarket or anywhere that sells paper goods or party goods or anything like that. Keep your eye open for napkins. Because sometimes you see just the perfect one. It's often easier if they're on a white background, because invariably we are putting them onto white, and the white background then won't show up. So a white background is always my favourite go-to. So that's napkins. Now then, after that, we've got this. This is wrapping paper, wrapping tissue. And I think I got it off Temu. They're very big sheets. You get loads of them. And I just wanted it to wrap things in. But it is tissue paper, so you can use it in exactly the same way. See, you can see my hand through there. And when it's wet, it kind of goes more transparent. So that's also an option, wrapping paper. You can also buy white wrapping paper, which you can then put through your printer, but that's for another day. So that's that one. And then that brings us to this. Now this is by Paper Artsy. It's designed by Alison Bomber, who has a very nice YouTube channel called Words and Pictures. So, you know, shout out to Alison. She's a lovely lady and she's very, very talented. So this is like ginormous tissue paper. I mean, look at the size of it. It's enormous, but you can still cut things out and decoupage with them. So that's another thing that we could do. let's just pop that away. Haven't folded that very well. And I've got Tim Holtz ones that are patterned, not just black and white. That's been stuffed in there, but it would decoupage flat again. This one I think is called, what's it called? Aviary. And it's really nice. That would do for our botanical as well, wouldn't it? That section. It's beautiful. But can't do everything today, can we? Otherwise we'll be here forever. Ever and ever. Let's try and make a better job of putting that away. There we go. Lovely. Right, so that's my decoupage drawer. I've got other bits and pieces in there. Tissues, oh they don't live in there, they're just there. This is part of the other decoupage set. I don't know what I've done with the box, the wrapping it came in, but you can see it's sort of letters and numbers and things like that, which are lovely. I love them, but they're not really for us today. I've got one that's maps of the world. I've got one, I had to take the lids off some because they don't fit in. I've got that one that's called Palette, and it's all, oh, it's beautiful. I love that one. Whoops, there goes the lid. I've got a big, oh, someone's at the door. A big roll of Timmy decoupage paper, tissue paper. And look at that. How fantastic is that? But like I say, you can only use one per day. Do a video on it. So I think I will choose the botanical papers again. And let's just get that one out. I don't think that's a full one. I don't. Will I be able to get that out of there? Yeah, I think I will just about. So that's okay. Right. So I've laid those out. Always keep your remnants because they do for kind of patching holes if you're tearing your tissue paper, etc. Oh, hello, Mr.
Hi. Your boyfriend says hello.
Alan. Alan's the every driver. Comes to something, doesn't it? Now that I would have to put on that way, wouldn't I? Don't know if I want it that way. Is this 6-inch one? I'm sure that'll be better. Yeah, that'll come down low enough that that'll cover it. Yeah. Okay, so let's just cut a bit of this off where we want it. That, if I move it across a bit, I can get the berries and some of that peony. So let's cut that there. You won't see this cut line. And I can cut a bit off there as well, actually. There we go. So that's going to go there. I'm going to keep that because, as I say, sometimes you just need a bit of a thing to fill something up. So that's going onto there, and this is going onto there. I can just fit that in there like that. So I can cut that bottom bit off. There we go. Right. So next thing to do is get painting. And I know at this stage you're all going to groan and tell me you can't paint and stuff like that. Yeah, you can. You can do this. This is for sure, because this is the easiest painting you'll ever do. So let's start with this piece. Now you can see this has already got the shading on it. Everything, look at this flower, it's all shaded down here. and nice and light there. Do you have to copy all that shading? No. No, you don't. Let's just watch and see what happens. So I'm turning it over. I've now got the reverse looking at me. And I'm going to use distress paints, but you could use any acrylics. Don't use watercolours because they'll run when you put the glue on. So any acrylics that you like. And let's just get a paintbrush. This is not an ideal paintbrush, but so I'm just going to put a little bit out and just pick it up, and I'm just going to try and stay within the lines of that flower. I know some of this flower is hanging off the page, but I'm not sure where the edge is, so I'll carry on. Now please note there is no shaping, no shading, nothing. You're not doing anything apart from colouring in between the lines. And if you're not making a video of it, it's a really restful thing to do actually. Because you really can't go wrong. It doesn't matter how you feel that you can't paint, you can do this. You could have done this when you were 3. I might be pushing it, 4. So, nearly round this daisy. Sunflower, whatever it is, I'm not sure. A little bit more. Lovely, that's fine. So have I got anything that needs to be yellow on here? Maybe the things in the middle, whatever they're called. They're called stamen or something. So I can't realistically just paint the stamen. They're too little. So I'm just splodging over where they are. A couple of little bits there. Yeah, I think that's probably that. Right, so that's me finished with the yellow. So the next thing is green for the leaves. So I'm going to take two colour greens, and it's not difficult. This is not complicated. I'm probably overcomplicating it really, to be honest. This is a very old paint, this one. It's still got a dibby-dab top, but it still works perfectly. And so let's clean the brush of that yellow, and just where these very light bits are, where you can see there's no shading, I'm just going to go in with a little bit of the light green. This is unnecessary really. I'm complicating it for no reason. So stay within the lines. And there's a leaf down here as well, which I'm not sure if it's in our picture or not, but we'll paint it anyway. Then without cleaning my brush, I'm just going to go into that darker green, just peeled paint. The lighter one was bundled sage. I'm just going to go over that, staying within the lines, or doing my best to stay within the lines. There we go. And then this one. Then we've got this little fern here. And that's going to be a bit tricky to do with the brush that I've got, because the brush is too big really. So I'm just going to do my best. That's all I can do. just take your time. A little pointy brush would be better. I don't know why I haven't got one. Great. That's that. Oh, I better do these two on the bottom hand because 10 to 1 on. They'll be in the picture if I miss them out. Okay, so that's my greens done on there. Now let's move over to the other piece while we've got the greens out. Well, there's a great big section of green here, and I'm literally going to do it just in the darker of the two. Staying within the lines. I'll come back to you when I've finished that. Right, so I've done all the green, and now I've got, on this one, I've just got the tip of the peony, and on here I've got the whole peony. So let's do that next. So I've looked out Kitsch Flamingo and Lumberjack Plaid. I'm just going to do a bit of mixing. Just put out a little bit of that. And a little bit of this. Get my paintbrush. Yeah, because it's really still very yellow. Okay, so now just the tip of this. I'm just going to take a little bit of that and a little bit of that and mix them just so I get quite a nice peony type colour. And just paint that in. Try not to look on the other side, and then you get a nice surprise when you look over. Because you're looking at it now thinking, what is she on about? This is rubbish. But just wait. Have patience. Yeah, I don't have a lot of patience. Okay, I think we're about there with that one. I think that's all that needs. So I'll leave that to one side to dry. Then we've got this huge peony here to do. Let's just mix up a fair bit of that colour. So I'll start at the back. Back of the peony, and just sort of peters out. So you can just paint all over it. You don't need to be too precious about anything. That Kitsch Flamingo and Lumberjack Plaid make a nice pink. And then here we are at the front of the plant. Don't know what colour they are. I'm going to paint them pink. They're like little, don't know, something in the middle of the flower, but I've no idea what. So don't get too carried away. Make sure that you keep between the lines. I'm sure there's a song called that. Keeping between the lines. There we are. And it looks a fright, it really does. But do not worry at this stage. Now, I've got this flower here, I'm not exactly sure what it is. Shall I do... What colour shall I do that in? That's the question. I think I'll just use the Kitsch Flamingo for that. Although that is very light. I might just use the Lumberjack Plaid, which, as we all know, is pink. Despite Timmy's best efforts to tell me it's red, it isn't. So it's got a sort of shaggy leafage. It looks a bit like that. And then I've got berries. Now I want the berries. You see how much paint I've got left, and I hardly put any out. So, you know, be sparing with your paint, because you use very, very little really. There we go. So for the berries, I've got out Seedless Preserves and Blueprint Sketch, and I intend to mix these to get quite a nice berry type colour. Don't know if it will or it won't, but let's see if this still wants to work. Oh, yes. Yes, it does. So that in itself actually is quite a nice berry colour. Come on, ball bearings, you can do it. Let's call that done before my arm drops off. So I'm just going to put the smallest little drop out, like that. And I'm going to mix a little bit with that. You don't have to do this, it's just me being silly really. And it just darkens that Seedless Preserves down a little bit because it's quite bright. I really need a pointy brush for this. This is just silly. Pointy brush, what's that one? That might be better than nothing. Let's try that. It's got loose hairs sticking up all over the place. I must have a better brush than that. That's just silly. What have I got in here? I got one of these out the other day, but I've lost it. Lost it somewhere. That's just miles too big. That's a water brush. I don't need that. Ah, that one will do. Oh, I've still got one left in there. Yeah, it's too big. So put those away. Yeah, let's use this one. This one looks better. Yeah, that water's filthy, but that's by the by. Okay, let's go. So just painting these berries, that's all we're doing. But you know, just look on them as little spheres. Don't even look on them as berries, otherwise you'll put pressure on yourself. Just little balls, we're just colouring them in. There we are. And then we've got some up this end as well. I'm just going to put a little bit more Seedless Preserves down. Just mix just a little bit of that blue through it. Oh, I'm quiet when I'm painting. You can imagine though that on your own, given all the time in the world, this is a really pleasant thing to do. And you can get really quite arty about it if you want to. I'm showing you a very basic kind of way of going on here. But you know, you could put highlights. But remember, if that is what you plan to do, remember the bit that you'll see is the first layer that you put down. After that, you won't really see anything because it's blocked. You're painting on the back of it then. So just remember that. Bit like painting on glass like they used to years ago. There we are. Okay. Right, so let's have a bit of a clean up. Ugh, it's made it worse, not better. That blueprint sketch is potent stuff, isn't it? Right, there we go. So I think I've probably finished with that anyway. So, are we ready for the reveal? Let's turn them over. Look. That's still wet, you ninny. Another bit of blue roll, please. Look at them. Aren't they gorgeous? Not a bit of shading in sight when we did them on the back. They're just crude, absolutely crude, aren't they? Look awful. But when you turn them over, because of all the shading that's on the paper, this is what you get. It staggers me every time I do it. I absolutely love it. I really do. You just get such a gorgeous finished effect from something that's really, really simple and so pleasant to do. So I'm going to leave those for a little minute. I'm going to go and wash my very mucky hands, and then I'll be back and we'll consider how we're going to put them onto our library pocket. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't do the centre of the sunflower. Silly, silly, silly. Now for this I am going to use two colours because there's a really dark bit there. So I'm just going to put out the tiniest of drops. Even that's way too much. Just pick up a little bit, and I'm just going to go where those, this is walnut stain that I'm using for this. So I'm going to go where the shading tells me to go with the very dark colour. And then look at all that. What can I say? And then I'm going to use a vintage photo to paint the rest of that circle, the centre, flower centre. That's kind of the smallest drop you can get out, and it's still way too much. So I'll just pick some of that up, and I'm just going to colour the rest of that in, because that I think does need a bit of shading, but be guided by the shading that's already there. You don't have to scratch your own head about it. Somebody's already scratched the head. We don't need excessive head scratching. Let's turn that over. Yeah, there we are. Lovely. Right. Complete. Okay, so I'll wash my hands, I'll change my water, and I'll be back. I'll turn that over actually so it can dry. So I'll see you very soon. Okay, so I'm cleaned up. So here are our, oh, they're just gorgeous. I love them. Really, really nice. So we just have to get them onto here now. That's the next problem. So that's going to go right to the top and come down. Just going to shunt that across a bit because I do want to get that in if I can. So what I'm going to do is get my messy mat out again. And I'm going to use matte medium. This is what I use. It says professional. The only reason I bought the professional one was it was cheaper at that particular time in that shop than the ordinary one. Ordinary one will do fine. Put yourself a splodge of that down, and then with a brush just cover that area where you're going to adhere your decoupage to. Make sure you've got plenty glue on here, particularly around the edges, but everywhere. There we are, nice smoothish layer. I'm going to put some more down, and then I'm going to place this kind of where I want it, which is about there. Is that straight? Yeah, straightish. So I'm just going to get some on my brush, some medium on my brush. And at this stage, the tissue paper is quite strong. I mean, don't do anything silly to it, but it is quite strong. Stronger than napkins. So go from the middle, always go from the centre to the edges. That way then you push out the air bubbles as you go. Don't be too rough. It is wet tissue paper at the end of the day. And if you stand your brush up and just go down like that, you'll pick up all the excess glue. And there we have it. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, how nice is that? Is it just me? Might be just me. It might just be me that likes it that much. So once again with a little pocket part, get plenty of glue on, particularly around the edges. But even if you haven't got any in the middle, it's a bit of a disaster, because once you put it down, it'll bubble and you can't get back into it. So I think that's plenty glue on there. Oh, upside down. So that's going like that, and it's got text on it, so I kind of want it to be straight, which it isn't. That's not bad. So I'll just hold it there, get some glue on my brush. And brush it out. Like that. And of course you've got no danger of the colour running or anything, not that it would, it's acrylic. Because it's on the underneath. We're not actually brushing over the painted bit, we're brushing over the tissue. So there we have it. Let's just go over that with my brush standing up to get rid of the excess glue. And there is a wrinkle in it, I can see one there actually, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So I'm going to dry those and then I'll come back to you and we'll, if you've got a corner like that that wants to lift off, get it stuck down now, because it'll only get worse when it dries. So right, I'm going to have a bit of a clean up, I'm going to dry those off and I will be straight back to you. Put the lid on that. Okay, so I think they are pretty much dry. I think so. And I've got a Tim Holtz sanding block. I don't know when he stopped making these, ages ago, I imagine. Any sandpaper will do, a nail file will do, whatever. And we're just going to go around the card, and the spare just falls away. It's like magic. And it's get a much better finish than if you were to cut it. I don't know, it's quite satisfying actually. Quite like doing it. It just drops away. So all you're panicking about your painting not being good enough or whatever, that's just nonsensical, because you can't see it. Well, you can see it, you can see the colour, but you can't see the details of it, of how you painted it. It just comes up looking beautiful. Let's do this one. Just the corners are a little bit difficult because they're rounded. I think we're all right. Yeah, we're okay. Nearly there. Good job this is not a mass makes March, isn't it? Because I've made one. There we go. So let's give that a bit of a straighten out. It is just paper. And there's our pocket. So there's our lovely journal card. Now, if you want to colour it, you're better off using the archival again. So somewhere here I have got ground espresso archival, and that's what I'm going to use to go around the edges. My old dabber, because of the matte medium. That's why the distress won't stick to the matte medium, whereas the archival will. Just darken the edges down a little, but you can still see where we put the ink from the vintage photo. It's shining through the decoupage paper, which I like. But the ground espresso is just a little bit darker, and that suits me. It might not suit you, that's fine. As the great man says, you do you. Just go along the bottom in case that becomes visible. There we go. And you know, you could buy a piece of paper that looked like this. So why would we decoupage it? Well, it's got a different look for a start, and it's got that gorgeous texture. It really has. So I'm just going to stick that down onto there. Then we will have ourselves a mighty fine pocket. So I would suggest you do more than one. I think we'll need more than one in our journal. So let's stick that down. There we go. And there's our library pocket. Ah, that's so nice. You like it? I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm just going to put some clips on there, I think. No, maybe we're all right. Yeah, no. No, I think I could do with a couple of clips. just until it dries. No harm in clipping stuff. Just gives it the idea it's got to stick. So that's that. And then when we've got our tag, it's just going to go slide in. It won't now because I've got clips, but it'll slide in there. Fits perfectly. You can also decoupage that if you want with something different, stamp on it, whatever. We'll deal with those at a later date. But there's our make of the day. There's the one I made earlier. And the obvious mistake with this was I used Distress ink to go around it before I put the decoupage on. And as soon as I touched it with the glue, it spread everywhere. I don't dislike that look, but that wasn't what I wanted. So that reminded me I needed to use Archival. And that stayed put. You can see this bit in the middle here is still lovely and light coloured, and in here. So yeah, that's what we've done today. I hope you give it a try. It's really good fun because it's so kind of slap happy on the back, and then you turn it over and you get this, and it's, well, to my mind, it's beautiful. So thanks for watching, everybody. Tomorrow, what have we got tomorrow? Is E, and it is ephemera, embellishment, envelope, entomology and embossing. Oh my goodness, there's loads to go at. Well, I'll give that some thought tonight and see what I come up with for tomorrow. So thank you everybody for joining in. Don't forget, if you are joining in, you want to play along, the hashtag is, look at this scrappy bit of paper, hashtag ABCAprill 2025. So if you're posting on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, please include this hashtag. Then when we search it, yours will pop up. So thank you very much. Even if you're just watching along, I really appreciate it. Thanks to all my new subscribers, and a huge, huge thanks to everybody who has donated to the channel through the Ko-fi site. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So see you guys tomorrow. Bye.